Well, we are still discussing electricity now. What about if we use our waste for electricity? Mr. Itomi there talked about the need for ample supply. And with ample supply, we expect that the price will be affected. And then this issue of subsidy may just be resolved. Now, let's look at the waste that we have in Nigeria. Yeah, it's a necessity. It comes with everyday living. So, I mean, it's nothing negative. So we have that waste composition in Nigeria. This is our waste. For about 43% to 57% is from food and organic. And of course, even our spending is majorly on food. And then you have plastics. This has been a major battle between governments and the people for a long time. 15% of Nigeria's waste is from plastic. And then others you have between 21% and 35%. Also, apart from what our trash is in the country, we see collection. When it comes to collection, about 20% to 30% of the generated waste is currently collected and managed through formal systems. Others, about 80%, just ends up in dump sites, not accounted for, and obviously blocking the gutters and all other parts, which is another problem coming to us through flood and all of that. We have, of course, that type that we have food waste making up about 43 to 57%, followed by plastic and all of that. And per capita generation, on the average, each Nigerian, as a Nigerian, I generate about 0.51 kilograms to 0.85 kilograms of waste every day. We are all guilty of this. Living and operating in Nigeria, each Nigerian generates about 0.5 kg to 0.85 kg of waste every day, really close to 1 kg there every single day. That's what we generate. What are we doing with this? We need electricity. Let's find out from our next guest here, Mr. Bimbola Agbenjo. He's the ESG business manager at Independent Project Monitoring Company Limited. Mr. Agbenjo, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Susan.
So you and I, this is what we are generating. Can we turn this to electricity? We are looking for light. We're looking for electricity, for production, for just comfortable living. We need this. Is this a potential for when you talk about waste?
Yes. Thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on the show. And I like the way you read out the stats on how much waste we generate as humans. And yes, waste to electricity has a very huge potential. And when you look at our current scenario, especially at a subnational level in Lagos and at a national level, it is a solution that we should be clamoring for. And it's a solution that I think, if well planned out, can also solve our electricity issues. When you look at, or when you calculated the amount of waste that each person generates, so you're looking at about 20,000 tons per day, if you're calculating for 20 million Lagosians.
Oh, yeah, because that's for an individual, between 0.51 and 0.85.
So if we're saying there are 20 million people in Lagos, so that's 20,000 tons per day of waste being generated. So you start to look at the magnitude of that. And if you look at our current systems of collecting, what we currently do is landfills, where you just collect and, dump somewhere. So why not use this resource to generate electricity that can also be useful to the population? So I 100% agree with it, but I also need to put caution. Waste to energy has a lot of different technologies. There's gasification, there's biogas, and as you rightly pointed out, a large, significant portion of our waste is organic waste. So there's a very huge opportunity for biogas and biodigesters in using to generate electricity.
So I know that some years ago, Lushoso was very popular. And I actually saw a plan from a government individual then of how waste to electricity was being planned. But we haven't seen that. And we're still struggling with, what's that word now? When you have to arrange your waste, because I believe sorting your waste. I believe that's where the process starts from. And yes, Lagos State talks about it, but I don't know how much of that has gone down to the people to being practiced, because I think if we really want to do something with the waste, it actually starts with sorting right here.
Yes, you're 100% correct. I would like to take a larger view of it. When we talk about the waste issues, there are three major stakeholders you need to look at. You need to look at the public, you need to look at the private sector, and you also need to look at the government. What we've had at a subnational level in Lagos so far is a lot of private-driven activities, but we haven't seen the government come out with a proper plan that is data-backed, that can say, okay, we're doing this in the first 2 years, and after 2 years, we're going to roll out this. We haven't seen the government bring together these stakeholders. What we've seen are flashes in the pan of private sector trying to, make the most of it. The Olusosun dump you mentioned is one of those things where the government makes an announcement and, there's an MOU signed, but we are waiting for the effectiveness of it. So you can also see it happens over and over again. And I can give you recent examples of even the Ojota dump site. There is a plan currently, and a Dutch MOU was signed in 2024 for a Dutch company to also do some waste-to-energy plants there. And you can also see that it's very much private sector driven. Even currently, I hear there's discussions about, a certain telecoms company taking over Obalende and remodeling Obalende because of the waste issues happening at Obalende under the bridge. So you see that those discussions are largely private sector driven, which shouldn't be the case, because private sector would not take one approach, but the government needs to bring everybody to the table and give us a roadmap or a timeline of how the government plans to tackle this issue.
So maybe now that the federal government is saying that they're going to share the subsidy, they're going to take about more than 3 trillion naira from FAC. Maybe when it affects the states, do you think that could be a motivation for them to push? Because now there's the law that empowers states to generate electricity. And you have the waste, which can help you to generate electricity. So maybe this motivation from the subsidy that will be removed from FAC, maybe that would be a motivation.
Well, to some extent, yes, it can be a motivation. However, I would like to put on a lens of a data and research-backed approach to doing things. At IPMC, we're a data and research company. We deal with ESG ratings. We also do a lot of environmental and social research work that informs how our actions should be. When you mentioned the federal government taking out FAC, and the states having, as the previous guests mentioned, states now having, in the 18 states that have applied that to law, how many of them have implemented it? If you take a good look at Lagos State, you can see a lot of action commercially. Lagos has made investments into its distribution, and you can also see they've opened up the generation part of it, inviting companies to, participate in the generation part of it. But when you look at other states that are still burdened by the old system, I'll give an example. IBEDC, which is one of the largest discos in the country and covers about 7 states, is currently one of the most unmetered distribution companies in the country. So you look at that kind of situation, where does a state like Osun want to get the funds to, say they want to carve out their own distribution company and also invite private sector? So yes, the FAC, withdrawing from the FAC is going to hurt, but it takes a data-backed approach for you to say, yes, I want to convert this waste to energy.
But a state like Osun has agriculture.
Exactly.
Haven't we all agreed that every state in Nigeria is blessed? That the state governors just need to look inwards,
yes.
So, I mean, even Osun is blessed in agriculture.
So when we say look inwards, it's a Nigerian phrase, but I like to say we need to use data-backed information. I will give an example of, I like to use Lagos because it's commercial.
Because you live in Lagos.
And I live in Lagos.
But a lot of states are not as rich as Lagos.
Exactly. I think 2-3 years ago, Lagos bought about 100 waste trucks. And this year, because of the news of, dirt piling up and everything, they're saying they're planning to buy another 100. But when you did the calculation, we're looking at 20,000 tons of waste every day. Can 100 trucks really cover 20,000 tons of waste every day? Those are the sorts of questions that we need to ask ourselves using data. And by using data, we come to a more practical solution and not just, flashes in the pan of private sector driven activities.
So I guess if Lagos State government can get 20,000 or 20,000 trucks, the private sector can, it can be a PPP and then more can be done. It doesn't have to be just, this is business opportunity too, I believe.
Definitely. So when you look at it, you need to do the research and you need to put out the data to say, okay, we're looking to combat 20,000 tons. We can afford the 100 trucks. We're looking for private sector to also join us. But if you haven't done that data and research, which is something that IPMC prides itself in, even with our ESG ratings and our ESG reports, you can't assertively make a plan without data and research going into it. You're just going to be doing the same thing. And if you look for a case of Lagos where you expect that the population is still on the rise, so if you bought 100 trucks 4 years ago, you're buying 100, are you going to catch up to what is eventually coming your way?
There has to be a sustainable way. And I guess that's what you guys do, because recently you rated the banks, ESG ratings, and all of that. Does that mean that as Nigerians, there's more consciousness? I know you looked at the financial sector, but would you use that? Since you guys are very much into data, would you use that to say, oh, there's more consciousness of all these sustainability needs and methods and strategies in doing business and even, living normally?
So at an organizational level, yes, there is. Globally, there is a trend towards sustainability. And for IPMC, we did an ESG ratings report. We've done that for the past 3 years, simply where we look at listed companies on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and we look at their ESG performance. So what that has allowed us to do is to, give ratings and benchmark them on their performance. Yes, at an organizational level, some organizations are required to report and to give sustainability reports. Every listed company in Nigeria, by requirements of the NGX and SEC, is required to provide sustainability reports. But how credible are these reports? How well are they doing? It's one thing to just say, I'm doing this, and that's the end of it. But we are saying we are holding their feet to the fire, and we are saying, okay, look, you're reporting that your emissions went down, but your emissions didn't really go down. Or you're reporting that you have stronger governance, but really you don't have stronger governance. So that is what our ESG ratings report has done. And we've rated over 120 companies on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And back to tying that to your question, at an organizational level, yes, we're seeing more awareness because, interestingly, this awareness is leading to funds being available, sustainable funds. And I think a week or 2 weeks ago, the president was in Abu Dhabi trying to get in these sustainable funds. So at an organizational level, yes, the organizations are aware. And they're also trying to cash in on the... Are
you holding the feet of the government to the fire too?
Yes,
maybe when you do that, the ratings will come in,
yes,
and it can attract funds, and that can also be another way to...
We have plans to also rate subnational and national governments moving forward, and also to expand across Africa moving forward. So yes, at organizational level, there is awareness, but on a day-to-day behavioral level, we are seeing that awareness needs more work.
I can tell you that I'm still shocked when I see people drive posh cars and throw waste out of their windows. I didn't know that Nigerians will still be doing that, and more so Nigerians who seem to be elite, and sometimes it's just so heartbreaking that people still have the minds to do that. But thank you so much for your time, Mr. Bimbola Agbenjo, the ESG business manager at Independent Projects Monitoring Company Limited. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's take a break. When we come back, cassava. We'll discuss cassava and all the things we are missing when we are not exploring the value chain of cassava. That's next. Please stay with us.